Got out of the vehicles. Gunny drew them together and reminded everyone that this was the real thing. Any mistake, he said, could cost lives. He wished everyone luck and passed out an FRS radio and one grenade to each squad leader. Then he had them group up into their 12-man squads. Each one of the 5 squads was led by one of the scouts who'd been watching the ranch for the last 2 weeks. Jim, the 6th scout, was still at the observation post and would help Gunny coordinate the fight from there. He'd also provide long-range cover with his M1A if needed. Since Mark's squad was assigned the position closest to the gate that entered the compound, his group left first, as they had the furthest to travel. Gunny went with them. When Mark came to the high fence that circled the ranch, he pulled out a small set of wire cutters. He cut the fencing next to one of the tall T-posts to a height of about 4 feet. Chaparro, whose group would come through last, would put the fence back into place and make it look undisturbed, just in case. A few minutes later, Mark pointed Gunny toward the observation post and led his group in a wide arc to their designated spot. When they reached it, Mark checked his watch and saw that they were well ahead of schedule. He had his men settle down and told them they could grab a little sleep if they wanted. There was over 2 hours before it would be light enough to start the attack. He reminded them that they must be absolutely quiet. He knew he wouldn't be able to sleep. The trip from Silver Hills to the rendezvous point had gone quickly. Now that they were waiting for sunrise, time slowed down to a crawl. The feeling of dread came back over Mark even stronger as he waited. He prayed the attack would be successful and that no one would be hurt, but the gnawing feeling in his stomach told him otherwise. Finally, he detected a lightening of the horizon to the east. A shot of fear rushed through him, and he thought it might be headlights from the trucks John took on his raid. A few seconds of watching told him it was only the sun, giving its very first hint of dawn. Mark checked all his men to make sure they were awake. It seemed like they, like he, had been too nervous to sleep. As the light gradually revealed the outlines of the buildings in the compound, Mark turned on his radio and held it to his ear. 10 minutes later, he heard Gunny's whispered voice asking for all the squads to check in. "Squad 1, ready to go," Mark said quietly into the little radio. He heard the other 4 squad leaders affirm their level of preparedness. Gunny gave Mark the command to commence the attack. Mark threw his grenade in a perfect arc, and the explosive fell into the foxhole closest to the gate with a dull thud. The gate guards never heard or saw anything. Mark briefly wondered how well trained they were, or if they had been asleep. The grenade went off with a deafening roar. Almost before the sound had quit reverberating, Mark heard Gunny's voice over the homemade PA that Don had rigged up using one of the radios. "You in the foxholes, put your hands up and come out, or the next grenades will be in the holes you're in.